Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today what I want to do is talk about sports chronographs. It's almost redundant. I suppose there would be a non-sporting kind of use for chronographs. I just don't know what it is. But this is about sport. I'm going to call them sports chronographs. And like I said, it could be redundant, but that's sort of the thing I'd like to talk about today. Now, first of all, there are two basic types of chronographs. One's called a column wheel chronograph, and they're called that because you can see in the picture that shows the little wheel there with the columns sticking up around it. And the way they work is that if this, as it turns or is turned by the different pushers, it will start, stop, and then reset. So that's pretty much what they do. Now, there are two basic types of dial. One's called the tri-compacts, and the other one's called the bicompacts. And the tri-compacts has indicators, time indicators for minutes, seconds, and hours. The bicompacts only has subdials for minutes and seconds. I'll talk more about that in a second. Probably one of the most famous chronographs is the Rolex Cosmograph Daytona, named after Daytona Speedway in Florida, motorsports. So these are something I think that if you like the more complicated and usually the more expensive type of chronograph, you're probably going to want a column wheel chronograph. Everybody won't agree with me, no matter what you say about chronographs. They say, well, I'm surprised you didn't say this about them. Probably true. The other one is by a company called Hanhart. It's a German company. It's called the 417 ES 1954 Heritage Flyback. And essentially, it's works pretty much in the same principle. You have a pusher for start and stop, and then you have another one for reset, except you only have two indicators for minutes and minutes and seconds. I figure, well, you don't need it for hours because most timing with chronographs, you're just timing something within an hour. On the other hand, the tri-compacts, you can do it much longer than that. What happens on a column wheel chronograph, the different levers and sectors linked to the columns in the column wheel, just talking about, to control the chronograph movement on, off, and flyback. Okay, the Hanhart is 2980. That's the place called Watchbuys. It may be a little more, a little less. They're originally from Germany. You'd have to check that out yourself. Caliber Salida AMT 5100. These are just to compare. Now, this whole video isn't to get into really a lot of detail about these, but if you're thinking about the movement at all, these are options. Good way to look at it is options. Now, the other kind of chronograph is called the cam actuated chronograph. And the most famous by far is the Omega Speedmaster Moonwatch. This particular one is one that went to the moon. It's hand wound, which I like. Not everybody does though. And it's called the Omega Coaxial Master Chronometer, caliber 3861. That is, you can see in the middle there. You can see the two images of the movement, and one of it's sort of a little part of it. And you can see what the cam does. The cam works like a cam. Usually a cam just turns around and then it different clutches and gears just sort of slip down and then it keeps going around, and that's essentially how it works. You can see the pusher arms right next to the red circle that go right into the cam. These are considered, well, these aren't as good because they're not as modern as the newer ones. Doesn't matter. None of our technologies really that much new technology, so to speak. So Mega's a nice one, 8,400, not cheap, and they have a very strong maintenance of the resale price. Now, on the other hand, the Ball Engineer Hydrocarbon Racer is another watch that is cam actuated. This one I found, it was the original price, MSRP, is $4,299, but it was discounted down to $1,350 at Joma's shop. This has the Ball caliber RR1401-C. It's based on the Valjoux 7750. As you look at a lot of different chronographs, you're going to find a whole lot of them are based on the 7750. This one's also COSC certified, so it has a very strong certification for accuracy and tested and everything else. Like I said, this I found at Joma shop. It was, I think there was like a $650 special discount. You got to look for those things because, you know, saving $650 is not chump change. At least it's not to me. Okay, so those are the two. The first two are the column wheel and then the cam actuated chronograph. In certain ways they're the same, but in others are different. One advantage you hear about the cam actuated one is that it's thinner and it's not quite as temperamental. But the other one, the column wheel, tends to be a little more accurate, but also a little more temperamental. I used to have a smart dog like that. He was temperamental, but really smart. So let's go on to our last thing. Now, here are a couple of advanced chronographs that I really like. First of all, is Moser Streamliner flyback chronograph, automatic. Now, this is $45,000. You know, pretty expensive. No, at $45,000, not dollars, but Swiss francs. This watch it's got a very interesting background. It really began with the movement. Jean-Marc Viderec at Agenor made this incredible movement called the Agengraph. And what H. Moser did is said, okay, we have this new case called the Streamliner. We want to take the case and we're going to put this wonderful new chronograph movement in it. Now, when you look at that, you say, wait a minute, where is the subdials? Well, it doesn't have any. First of all, it doesn't worry about the hour of a timer because you can simply look at the hour and or reset it to nothing. But the other thing is that you have a red second hand and a white second hand. One is for chronograph the minutes and the other one for the seconds. And so usually when you look at a chronograph, you can see the old second hand going around and minute hand. But look how clean the dial is. This to me is my very favorite chronograph. There's a really good article about this movement in Quill and Pad, I think it's the name. It was one of the online articles that's really great. One of the things about this, and we haven't talked about clutches. There's vertical clutches and horizontal clutches, and there's big discussion about those. among big fans of chronographs. This one took the best of both worlds. That's one thing I like. It's called the Agen clutch, combines the best of the horizontal clutch, low profile, and minimum fuel consumption. What does minimal fuel consumption mean? Well, if you think about it, your wind, your power reserve, takes up more time putting in another aspect to it. And so the Agen clutch, put them both together. And then also with the vertical clutch, the advantage it has precision chronograph function. So it's really an amazing watch and an amazing movement with it for a chronograph. So if you can afford something like that, I'd certainly recommend it. Can't recommend it for myself. I can't quite afford it. Now, this next one is a Habring2 Doppel 38. Now, what a Doppel is, it's really funny. I've always called them rattrapants because I like to say that. It just sounds like a cool thing. And a rattrapant, or a split second, what happens is that they have really two timing arms. And so you want to start something. Let's say you got two horses running, and the first horse takes off, and so you start timing him or her. And then the second one takes off, and then you hit another button to time the second horse. And so you can see this. I mean, you could use that for all kinds of races and testing quality and everything else. And so one for each one based on the starting point. Now this one is Habring2 is something that is a very special brand in my opinion. It's from Richard and Marie Habring in Austria. And this particular one, years ago, Richard Habring used to work for IWC, and he started working on this Doppel, which is a German term, same as rattrapant, or split second. And I said, you can't do that, or you can't do it here, something like that. Well, anyway, he figured it out and said, see, I told you so. And so when he started his own business, which is, I think just a little over 10 years ago, wasn't that long ago. Now, this one is pre-order price is $10,300, and I found it at Horology by the Sea. Okay. The caliber is A11R-H1. Like most watches, and most people don't realize this, is that you have a base movement and then you have some functionality on top of it. And this one certainly has it. And so it's called the A11R-H1. Not sure what the third, fourth, and fifth letters stand for. The A11, though, is Austria. This is on the 11th. And so that got named the A11, and that's underlying everything. I used to have a Habring2 Feely. What a great watch. These guys are very, very good. Anyway, now I know that someone's going to say, well, I don't know anything about chronographs. I wouldn't give you a big argument on that one because I'm just not into them. I have nothing against them. It's sort of like, what would you like, sort of watch A or watch B, and if watch B is chronographs, always go with watch A. Nothing against chronograph, but all of us, I think, in one way or another, appeal to one kind of watch or another. Like to hear your thoughts on this. If you have any of these we talked about or other ones you think are important. In fact, you can even say, I can't believe you didn't include this. That always happens. But that's okay. Get your opinion. This is an opportunity to subscribe if you like. And until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection.